If you listen closely to the hum of the fluorescent lights in this building, you can hear the sound of human souls slowly evaporating. I have been the senior logistics coordinator at Summit Logistics Group for 17 years. In corporate speak, that means I am the person who knows where the inventory is, how much it costs to ship heavy freight across the country, and which customs forms you need to keep shipments moving. I have survived 3 mergers, 5 chief executives, and a break-room microwave that smells of burnt popcorn and despair. I am the invisible glue of this operation. I am the reason things arrive at their destination on time. Then there is Courtney. Courtney Brooks is my new manager. She is 29 years old, holds a degree in communications with a minor in vibes, and is the niece of a board member. She walks around in heels that cost more than my 2012 Honda Civic, holding a latte like a scepter. Courtney does not know what a bill of lading is. She thinks faux B destination is a fashion trend. She calls me into her office to convert Word files into PDFs because the software is too complicated. This would not be a problem under normal circumstances. I am used to babysitting executives who think logistics is magic elves putting boxes on trucks. Except for one thing, the Garrison account. Mr. Howard Garrison is our biggest client. He runs a manufacturing empire, supplying heavy machinery parts to the Midwest. He is a man who speaks in grunts and spreadsheets. He does not care about our company culture. He does not care about our synergy. And he certainly does not care about Courtney's vision board. He cares that his steel bearings arrive in Detroit on Tuesday, not Tuesday-ish. His contract is up for renewal in 3 weeks. It represents 45% of our department's revenue. Losing it would turn this office into an empty storefront by November. Walter, I need you to spruce up the quarterly report, Courtney told me yesterday, leaning over my cubicle wall, smelling of vanilla bean and corporate incompetence. Mr. Garrison needs to see our growth mindset. The numbers look a little dusty. Can we make them pop? Maybe use that font that looks like handwriting. I took a slow sip of my lukewarm coffee, the kind that tastes like battery acid and regret. Courtney, the numbers are dusty because shipments to the Cleveland hub were delayed by 5 days due to the rail strike. Mr. Garrison does not want fonts. He wants to know why he paid for expedited shipping on containers that sat in a rail yard. You are being so negative, Walter, she sighed, rolling her eyes in that dramatic way of hers. It is about the narrative. We need to control the narrative. If we just manifest success, the client will feel that energy. Also, can you fix the printer? It is blinking red and it is stressing me out. I watched her walk away, and I felt that familiar tightening in my chest, the primal urge to throw a heavy stapler through a drywall partition. She's going to walk into a meeting with the industry veteran like Garrison, armed with nothing but buzzwords and a smile. And when the client reacted, I knew exactly who she was going to use as a human shield. The office atmosphere in the days leading up to the meeting was toxic. The air conditioner was broken, stuck on Arctic blast, so we were all shivering. Courtney spent her time printing out inspirational quotes and taping them to the glass walls of the conference room. Teamwork makes the dream work, one said. Another crookedly pasted near the door read, leadership is action, not position. The irony was thick. I tried to show her the actual data. I tried to walk her through the variance reports. I printed out the heat maps of our shipping routes. She pushed them aside. Walter, stop drowning me in details, she would say, waving her manicured hand. I am a big picture thinker. You handle the weeds. I handle the sky. The problem with staring at the sky, Courtney, is that you do not see the open manhole cover you are about to walk into. And the problem for me was that I was tied to her ankle with a rope made of pension benefits and a mortgage. I knew deep down in my bones that sprucing up the numbers was not just about fonts. It was about hiding something major. I just did not know how bad it was yet. 2 days before the presentation, the big picture started to look like a felony. Courtney had finally emailed me her draft of the presentation. I opened the file, expecting bad formatting. What I found was fiction. According to her charts, our on-time delivery rate was 96%. In reality, we were hovering around 78% because of the rail strike. But that was not the kicker. The kicker was the inventory reconciliation page. There was a line item for miscellaneous adjustments. It was a catch-all category, usually reserved for a broken pallet or a lost box of pens. Courtney had listed it at $18,000. I frowned, adjusted my reading glasses, and pulled up the raw data from the Enterprise Resource Planning system, the system Courtney did not know how to log into. I ran a query for the actual missing inventory code. My screen blinked, processed, and spit out a number that made my stomach drop. The real number was not $18,000. It was $210,000. $210,000 of high-grade industrial valves were missing from our records. They had vanished, and Courtney had just erased them. She had massaged the spreadsheet cells until the red ink turned black. This was not manifesting success. This was fraud. I printed the real report. The paper felt heavy in my hand, like I was holding a loaded gun. I marched directly to her corner office. She was on the phone, laughing about her weekend plans at some fancy resort. She waved me in, pointing to a chair without breaking eye contact with her reflection in the double-pane window. When she finally hung up, she smiled, completely oblivious to the storm brewing in my folder. "Did you see the slides?" she asked, twirling a pen. "The color palette is so calming, right?" "Courtney," I said, keeping my voice steady but cold. "We need to talk about slide 7, the inventory adjustment." "Oh, that," she said, dismissively waving her hand. "Yeah, I just smoothed it out. The client does not need to worry about internal glitches. We will find that stuff eventually. It is probably just misplaced in some corner of the Toledo warehouse." "It is $210,000, Courtney," I replied, placing the raw printout on her desk. "You cannot smooth out the cost of a luxury home. If Mr. Garrison audits us, and he will, he is going to see that we falsified the ledger. This is not a glitch, this is cooking the books." Her smile did not falter, but her eyes went dead. It was like looking at a shark that had just spotted blood in the water. "Walter, I do not think you understand how this works," she said, her voice dropping to a sharp whisper. "My job is to ensure this contract renews. If we show them a loss like that, they walk. If they walk, everyone in this department loses their jobs, including you. Are you telling me you want to be unemployed at 56 because of a clerical error?" She emphasized 56 like it was a terminal diagnosis. I looked at her, realizing she had no grasp of the legal consequences. "It is not a clerical error," I insisted, leaning forward. "It is missing product. We have to report it as a discrepancy and initiate an insurance claim. If we hide it, it is embezzlement by omission. The company will be held liable, and we could both face federal charges." Courtney stood up. She was not tall, but she had the terrifying confidence of someone who has never been told no in her life. "I am the manager of this department. I have approved the final figures. You are the coordinator. Your job is to coordinate what I tell you to coordinate. I am overriding your access to the final report file as of right now. I have already asked Toby, the intern, to handle the final polish. He is much more flexible and understands the importance of teamwork." She leaned over her polished desk, her shadow falling across my paperwork. "Do not touch the presentation, Walter. Do not speak to the client, and fix your attitude. You are bringing the energy down." I walked back to my cubicle, my hands shaking, not from fear, but from raw rage. I sat in my old office chair, looking at the faded family photo on my desk and the stack of manuals I had accumulated over 17 years. She had just locked me out of the system. She was going to use Toby, a college kid who thought net 30 was a tennis score, to commit fraud. I sat down and stared at my dual monitors, the fan in my computer tower sounding like a dying aircraft engine. I had a choice. I could keep my head down, let her crash the car, and hope I did not die in the wreckage, or I could protect myself. I opened a hidden folder on my personal network drive. I named it the receipts. I started downloading everything. Every email where she refused to look at the data. Every raw shipping log, the time-stamped screenshots of the inventory before she smoothed it. If she wanted to cook the books, fine, but I was going to make sure I had a copy of the original recipe. That afternoon, I entered what I call ghost mode. To the naked eye, I was just Walter, aggressively typing emails and occasionally sighing at the coffee machine. But in reality, I was conducting a forensic audit that would make the Internal Revenue Service blush. Courtney had revoked my edit access to the presentation, but she was too inexperienced to realize she had not revoked my read-only access to the back-end shipping manifests. She thought deleting a line in Excel made the physical object disappear from the face of the earth. She did not understand that every pallet has a barcode, every barcode has a scan history, and every scan history has a global positioning system tag. I traced the missing valves. They had not been lost in our facility. They had been shipped. According to the system, they left our secondary warehouse in Toledo 4 weeks ago. The destination was listed as Garrison Manufacturing Plant B in Detroit. But when I looked at the carrier logs, the actual trucking data, the coordinates did not match Plant B. They matched a storage unit facility in a sketchy industrial park off Interstate 75. Why would we ship $210,000 of inventory to a self-storage lot? I needed confirmation. I could not call Garrison directly. That was too risky. I needed a back channel. I picked up the office phone and dialed Martha. Martha is Mr. Garrison's executive assistant. She is a woman made of iron and hairspray who has been gatekeeping Garrison since the 90s. We have a bond forged in the fires of holiday shipping nightmares, when containers of vital components were stranded in blizzard-bound rail yards and we had to coordinate emergency flatbeds to keep the assembly lines running. Summit Logistics, Walter speaking, I said, using my professional voice while typing on a sticky note. Walter, Martha rasped. She sounds like she smokes unfiltered cigarettes while eating gravel. If this is about the meeting, tell your Tinkerbell manager that Mr. Garrison is in a mood. He chewed out a vendor this morning for using the wrong staple gauge. He is ready to tear someone apart. Martha, listen to me, I said, lowering my voice and looking over the cubicle wall. Courtney was busy taking a photo of a potted plant for the company's social media page. This is off the record. Strictly between us. Did Plant B receive a shipment of Type 4 valves on the 14th? PO number 8241. Silence on the line. I heard the clicking of keys, the rhythmic tapping of a woman who knew how to navigate an inventory database faster than the IT department. Negative, Walter, she finally said. We have been screaming for those valves. Your tracking system said they were delayed due to a logistics bottleneck at the rail hub. Why are you asking? Just checking a system glitch on our end, I lied smoothly. You know how the new software is. We are trying to clean up the records before the big quarterly review. I smell smoke, Walter? Martha said, her voice dropping an octave. Mr. Garrison hates smoke. If there is a fire in your department, you had better tell me now. I know, Martha. I am just checking the fire extinguishers. I will see you Thursday. I hung up, my heart hammering against my ribs. So, the client never got them. The system said they did. The truck went to a storage unit. I did a quick public records search on the address of the storage unit. It was rented to an LLC called Jex Trading LLC. I opened the registry on the Secretary of State website and paid a small search fee to pull up the corporate filing documents. I scrolled down to the registered agent name, Justin Brooks. I froze. I knew that name. I had seen it on the glittery save-the-date card tacked to the corkboard in the break room. Justin Brooks was Courtney's husband. My blood ran cold. This was not just incompetence. This was embezzlement and interstate wire fraud under Title 18, Section 1343 of the United States Code, which carries a penalty of up to 20 years in prison. Since the shipping documents were generated electronically and sent across state lines from our office in Ohio to Garrison's Michigan plant, it also violated Title 18, Section 2314, governing the interstate transportation of stolen goods. Courtney was diverting product to a shell company, probably to resell it on the gray market, and writing it off as lost or delayed in the company books. She was stealing from Mr. Garrison to fund her lifestyle, and she was forcing me to help her cover it up. I saved the registry documents, the filing history, and the signatures to my receipts folder. I backed everything up to a secure thumb drive. I put the thumb drive in my front pocket. I was not taking any chances. The war had started. She just did not know I was the only one with ammunition. Thursday morning arrived with the subtlety of a migraine. The sky was a bruised purple and the rain slashed against the office windows. I wore my battle armor, a charcoal suit I bought years ago that makes me look like a federal investigator. I arrived early, but Courtney was already there. She was manic, rearranging the chairs in the conference room, vibrating with caffeine and nerves. Walter, she chirped, her voice an octave too high. Good morning. Okay, so change of plans. She walked over to me and physically took the stack of folders I was holding. These were the backup packets, the ones containing the actual unvarnished data I had prepared just in case. "We are not using these," she said, tossing them onto a side table like they were trash. I printed fresh copies of the final deck. Toby put them in these cute binders with the clear covers. It looked so much cleaner. I looked at the binders. They were filled with fluff, colorful charts that meant nothing, stock photos of smiling workers, and the falsified numbers. "Courtney," I said quietly, "Mr. Garrison is going to ask about the valves. You know he is." "I will handle Garrison," she snapped, her smile vanishing. She stepped into my personal space. "Here is your role today, Walter. You sit at the end of the table, you take notes. If he asks a technical question, you give a vague positive answer and defer to me. You do not go into the weeds. You do not bring up the delay. You smile, you nod, and you let me close the deal. Do we understand each other?" "I understand," I said, and I did. I understood that she was digging her own grave and asking me to hold the shovel. Good. Now go get the coffee service ready. He likes the dark roast. I was being relegated to a waiter in a meeting I should be leading. I walked out to the reception area, boiling. My thumb drive was burning a hole in my pocket. At 9:50 in the morning, the elevator doors slid open. Mr. Garrison stepped out. He is a man who looks like he was carved out of granite. He wore a gray suit that cost more than my house, and he carried a battered leather briefcase. Martha trailed behind him, looking like a hitman's grandmother. Garrison scanned the room. His eyes landed on the receptionist, then on me. He stopped. He did not smile, but he gave me a look. It was a micro-expression, a slight tilt of the chin. It was the look of a man entering a room he suspects is booby-trapped, looking for his only ally. I did not say a word. Courtney was watching from the conference room doorway. I just held his gaze for 2 seconds and gave a single, almost imperceptible nod. "I am here. I am watching. Be ready, Mr. Garrison," Courtney squealed, rushing out with her hand extended. "Welcome. We are so excited to show you our vision for the next fiscal year." He looked at her hand, then shook it briefly. "Let us get on with it," he grumbled. "I have a lunch meeting in Detroit." We filed into the conference room. Courtney took the head of the table. Garrison sat opposite. I sat at the far end, the designated mute. Courtney opened her binder, flashing a blinding smile. "At Summit Logistics, we do not just move boxes, we move dreams." Garrison let out a sigh that sounded like a tire losing air. I opened my notebook, uncapped my pen, and waited for the show. The first 20 minutes were excruciating. Courtney presented slides that had more clip art than data. She used words like synergistic velocity and holistic fulfillment. She talked about blue sky thinking, paradigm shifts, and customer-centric optimization. She waved her hands in the air, pointing to graphs with upward-pointing arrows that had no labeled axes. It was a masterclass in saying absolutely nothing with immense confidence. Mr. Garrison did not move a muscle. He stared at her like she was a street performer who had wandered into his boardroom. Martha sat next to him, her face a mask of pure skepticism, her pen poised over her notepad as if waiting to write down a confession. Tap, tap, tap. The gold pen tapped. It was a countdown. "And here," Courtney said, beaming as she flipped to the fatal slide, "you can see our efficiency metrics. We have achieved a 96% on-time delivery rate, and our inventory shrinkage is practically zero. We are running a tighter ship than ever." The tapping stopped. Garrison looked at the slide. Then he looked at Courtney. "Zero shrinkage?" he asked. His voice was low, a rumble of thunder. "Basically zero," Courtney chirped. "Just standard adjustments." "Peanuts, really." Mr. Garrison slowly opened his battered leather briefcase. The click of the brass latches sounded like a pair of handcuffs closing. He pulled out a single sheet of paper from a folder. It was a printed delivery report from his Detroit factory. His movements were slow, deliberate, and terrifying. He placed the paper on the table and slid it toward Courtney. "That is interesting, because my floor manager in Detroit says we are missing a shipment of Type 4 valves. A shipment worth $210,000. He says your system shows them delivered, but we never signed for them. We have security cameras at the loading dock, Courtney. No truck from Summit Logistics Group arrived at our facility on the 14th. Courtney did not flinch. She rehearsed this lie. "Oh, that. Yes, we looked into that. It was a carrier scanning error. The drivers often scan early. They are actually en route right now. They will be there by tomorrow morning, guaranteed." She lied with such ease it was breathtaking. She was gambling that she could scramble and buy the replacements on the gray market or simply delay him. Garrison turned his head slowly. He did not look at Courtney. He looked down the long table directly at me. "Walter," he said, "is that true? Are the valves en route?" The room went silent. Courtney shot me a look that was pure venom. A warning, stick to the script, nod, smile. I stood up. I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. I was done carrying the water. "No, Mr. Garrison," I said clearly. "They are not en route." Courtney's head whipped around. "Walter," I ignored Courtney's glare. "The valves were scanned delivered 4 weeks ago, but the coordinates do not match your facility. They match a storage unit in Lucas County, Ohio, Walter." Courtney stood up, her face flushing red. "That is outdated data. You are confusing the client." "I have the carrier logs right here," I continued, my voice gaining strength. The goods were diverted. "They are currently sitting in Unit 5012, rented by Jex Trading LLC. Halfway through my report, my manager slammed the table. "Stop talking," she screamed. "You are making us look incompetent." The slap of her hand against the wood echoed. "Get out of this meeting right now. I will not have a disgruntled employee sabotage our relationship with our most valued partner. This is a temporary software discrepancy, Mr. Garrison. I assure you that Walter is simply misinterpreting the back-end logs. He has been under a lot of stress lately and is clearly not handling it well." I closed my notebook calmly. I looked at Garrison. He was watching Courtney with cold curiosity. I picked up my pen. "I will leave you to it," I said. I turned and walked toward the door. As I reached the handle, my phone buzzed. A text message from Garrison. "Step out. She is about to learn. Check your email in 10 minutes. I did not even make it back to my desk before Hank, the security guard, intercepted me. He looked uncomfortable, refusing to meet my eyes. "I am sorry, Walter," he mumbled. "Courtney called the front desk. She said you are to be escorted off the premises immediately for gross insubordination." "It is okay, Hank," I said, patting his shoulder. "Just let me grab my coat." I walked out into the rain and sat in my Honda. My phone pinged. An email notification from the Human Resources automated system. Notice of termination. Effective immediately. There it was. Done. I stared at the screen, feeling hollow. Then the phone rang. It was Mr. Garrison. "Hello." "Walter," the voice said. "Mr. Garrison," I began, but he cut me off. "You did not cause a scene, Walter. You prevented a larceny. I have suspected something was wrong with the shipping accounts for months. The math did not add up, but I could not prove it. I needed someone on the inside. When you gave me the nod in the hallway, I knew you were ready. And when you read those coordinates, that was poetry." I listened in silence as he continued. "I just fired Summit Logistics. I terminated the contract for cause, citing fraud and breach of trust. Their stock is going to tank by tomorrow morning." "I see," I stammered. "Well, I guess we are both out of luck." "Hardly," Garrison grunted. "I need to audit the last 3 years of billing to see how much she stole. I do not trust their internal people. I need an outside consultant, someone who knows their system." "I am offering you a contract, Walter. Independent auditor. You report directly to me. Your rate is triple what they were paying you. And your first assignment is to go back into that building and find every dime that woman stole from me." A slow smile spread across my face. "I will need a badge," I said. "You will have it," Garrison replied. "See you Monday." Monday morning. The sun was shining as I walked into the lobby wearing a sharp cream suit. Hank, the security guard, stood up, looking confused. "Morning, Hank," I smiled, handing him a box of pastries. "I am not here as an employee today." I scanned my new visitor badge. It chimed. Garrison Industries external auditor. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor. The office was in chaos. The rumor of the contract cancellation had hit. I walked straight to the glass-walled conference room adjacent to Courtney's office. I set my briefcase down and opened my laptop. Courtney looked up. She froze. She stormed out of her office, her heels clicking. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. "I fired you. She has every right to be here, Courtney," a voice boomed. It was the chief executive officer. "As part of our settlement agreement to avoid a federal lawsuit, we have granted her full access to our records. Give him whatever he wants." I gave her a cold smile. "I am going to need your login credentials, Courtney, your email archives, and coffee black." For the next 6 hours, I sat in that fishbowl, dissecting her transactions. I watched through the glass as she sweated. I found the fake invoices. I found the payments to Jex Trading LLC. It was a systematic siphoning of goods. By Wednesday, I had compiled a 55-page dossier. Courtney knew it was over. Around 1:45 p.m., I went to the restroom. The door opened and Courtney slipped in, locking the door. "Walter," she said, her voice trembling. "Look, I know things look bad, but my husband Justin got into some debt with some bad people. We needed the money. I was going to pay it back. Please, Walter, you have to understand. If this comes out, we go to jail. Can we just make that file disappear? I can get you money." I pulled out my phone. The voice memo app was running. "You just admitted to embezzlement and attempted bribery," I said, holding the phone up. "And you implicated your husband. Under federal law, this is wire fraud." Her face twisted in hate. "You planned this. You wanted my job." I walked past Courtney. "It is already done. I sent the report 10 minutes ago." The boardroom meeting was brief. The board presented her with the evidence. The police were already waiting in the lobby. Her husband had been arrested at the storage unit an hour earlier. Seeing Courtney escorted out in handcuffs was not triumphant. It was just the logical end to a sequence of bad math. The chief executive officer caught me by the elevators. "Walter, we made a mistake. We want you back. Senior manager of logistics. A raise and a corner office." I looked at him. "I think I have outgrown this place," I said. "I am starting my own consulting firm. Mr. Garrison is my first client." I walked out to the parking lot. The rain had stopped. As I approached my Honda, I saw a tow truck hooking up Courtney's white luxury sedan. I got in my car, started the engine, and merged onto the highway. The wipers cleared the rain from the glass, revealing a bright, clear road ahead. I rolled down the window, letting the fresh air fill the cabin. Turns out you do not need to control the narrative with buzzwords and vision boards. You just need to control the spreadsheets and keep a shadow log, because in the real world, the numbers always tell the truth. And if you are the one who knows how to read them, you are the one who holds all the cards.